right, just so we're clear, whenever this conversation ends up on, say, like YouTube, we're not going to be discussing the effectiveness of masks, but we are going to be talking about whether or not mask mandates violate individual rights. All right, so just so that's clear, because I don't want this video eventually to end up not on YouTube or elsewhere. So we'll see if I get another strike. It is 8:11. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. We're going to talk here in a moment with Justin Mahwikizi. He is leading a lawsuit against Uber over mask mandates, and we'll get to the genesis of what's exactly going on here. But first, I did want to share some of the latest recommendations from Dr. Anthony Fauci. He was recently making the rounds on various media, and he talked about masks and where he thinks that you should still be wearing masks.
Who are in a zone or a county, a state, or a city that has a very high level of dynamic of viral circulation, the CDC would recommend strongly that you wear a mask in a congregate indoor setting. And that would include schools, places of work, anything that brings people together in a closed environment. That is good public health practice.
So again, that's Dr. Anthony Fauci saying it's good public health practice. Again, Fauci had COVID despite being double vaxxed, double boosted. Governor Pritzker had COVID despite being double vaxxed, double boosted. President Biden had COVID despite being double vaxxed, double boosted. And they all used an antiviral that at one point, if you talked about antivirals as a treatment for COVID just about a year and a half ago, you probably would have been blocked from social media. But let's talk now about the rights issue here. Again, we're not going to talk about the effectiveness of masks, but more about individual rights and liberties, and these things brought into question with a lawsuit filed against the ride-sharing technology Uber. Justin Mahwikizi joins us, and he's leading this lawsuit. Justin, thanks for taking time with us this morning. Tell us about your lawsuit.
Thank you, Greg, for the opportunity. The lawsuit essentially alleges that Uber is a common carrier transportation company that contracts with federal, state, and local governments. And when a corporation contracts with governments and they take an action against their customers or partners that might be unconstitutional, they are liable for constitutional rights violations. And specifically, I'm alleging a freedom of speech rights violation for riders and drivers with their mask mandate.
So you were an Uber driver, and this is something that impacted you directly. Tell me about that.
Correct. On two levels. One, Uber's mask mandate went beyond the CDC's federal transportation mask mandate that was recently declared unconstitutional in Florida. Uber's mask mandate essentially did not allow riders or drivers to eat or drink during a ride or remove a mask if they were short of breath. Essentially, for any drivers like me who may have blood control issues, not being allowed to drink or eat during a ride to make sure you're safe health-wise, put the rider and the drivers directly at in harm's way.
So this is an issue you say is about First Amendment, and in particular, I mean, there's like 4 different sections of the First Amendment: right to assemble, right to speak, free press, freedom from religion. Which specific part of the First Amendment are you addressing here as being wronged by these mask mandates?
It is freedom of speech. Essentially, Uber's intentional acts of their mask-wearing policy caused a breach in the contractual relationship between a rider and a driver. And so when a rider gets into the car, the driver makes a free speech conduct to allow that rider to come into the car, and the rider has a right to take an action on their own behalf to breathe essentially freely, and that is a form of speech. And Uber's mask mandate to disallow that and penalize that by deactivation of riders or Uber's report for not wearing a mask even for a second, essentially remove their freedom of speech rights to be able to choose when and how to breathe.
So, again, you touched on some riders were blocked from the app and some drivers were blocked from the app because of violations of mask mandates?
Correct. At the end of a ride, Uber would ask either the driver or a rider to report if the other person had a mask on. And sometimes they were reported mistakenly or maliciously. Essentially, Uber awarded anyone who reported a mask, non-wearing mask violation, they would award them some kind of free rides. Essentially, it impacted 7.5 million riders and drivers in the 2 years that the mask mandate lasted that don't have access to that transportation network, essentially depriving people who may be in low-income neighborhoods the ability to call for a safe ride to where they're going.
Justin Mahwikizi joins us. He is a member of this lawsuit at the American Institute of Action is sponsoring against Uber. And what's the next steps here for this lawsuit? Are you seeking class action status?
We are seeking class action status, and we're also seeking and demanding a jury to decide on the case. Just one quick point on Uber. Their reputation has recently been exposed by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists on some of the strong steps they took to expand, including violating laws, duping police, and secretly lobbying governments. And so this is their actions in the last 2 years are right in line with their comportment in the past.
Well, Justin, looking forward to seeing updates on this case, so definitely keep us posted, all right?
Greg, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. It's Justin Mahwikizi, one of the lawsuits filed against Uber about mask mandates violating, allegedly, the First Amendment. Greatly appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk.